Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I believe this is what I looked like 20 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that now, maybe 25. That look was what I carried with me to China. If you are interested in finding out about my plays, come to think of it, I should have a list here somewhere. I always tried to put the list at the back. There's a whole list of plays. You will not find them. The only one that you will find is my Peony Pavilion, which is a retelling of a classic Chinese play. It's not a translation. It's very different. It's a very long play, as is the original, and at least the first 1/12 of it is just abominable, kind of like nothing but monologue. It's probably impossible to stage, but when I got to this point, I said, that's okay. I don't care if it's impossible to stage. I'm going to write it anyway. And it's another instance where if I had access to Microsoft Word, I would probably want to write a new introduction to the book. I have a little introduction, but my thoughts have matured on the topic. It brings up Pinion and Wade Giles, and my thoughts have really changed on that just in the last year. So this is available at my Lulu page, which you can get to one way or another. But if you order this, do not expect that you're going to be getting the original Chinese classic play. And why am I talking about my plays? Well, I don't know. On Facebook, I follow a guy named Cleve Jones, and he is raising a skeptical eyebrow about scheduled protests for tomorrow. 50 protests in 50 states, something like that, I guess, to protest the presidency of Donald Trump, maybe, or the whole Republican takeover and decimation of our traditional government. I am not sure what, but he points out that these protests have kind of been raised out of nowhere, and that there is no information at all about the people who are setting them up. And so he advises caution before proceeding to one of these. And I think in this time it is very well to be advised to stay cautious. The boom has not fallen as yet on us in many areas, but I think many of us are cognizant of the boom. Not to say a sword of Damocles. Personally, each one of us has that, I suppose. But I did a video a while back talking about my inaugural book. And 8 years ago, after Trump won the presidency, I knew that my writing career as a playwright was over. Not that it ever went to all that many places, but I knew that the type of audience that I required for my drama had evaporated or ceased to exist. I wrote a style of comedy patterned on that of Aristophanes, which was not the comedy of errors type that you know from, say, Shakespeare or even Terence, but a comedy which delved into political issues even. And for that, you need to have a public which is open to that. Sorry about that. There was a cat moment, and I can't get the delicate balance reconfigured to how it was. You need an audience which is open to that kind of public discourse, which we lost, apparently. And so I knew at that point that my moment for silence had arrived. This time, 8 years down the line, it's different for me. Now, 8 years ago, I was going to every single protest. I was joining all of the crowds on the street for everything. This year, I'm not doing that, but given that I have this YouTube channel, I am deciding to not hold my tongue about things, as I never did in my poetry. So I always, when I was writing poetry, I have since retired, I would always let the pen fly. I don't know, let the muse channel herself through me, and whatever came out, came out. There was never any deleterious consequences to any of that. So now that I'm not writing, and now that I do have this channel, I've decided to speak my mind when it occurs to me. But every person is differently situated, and given that these people who would like to become our overlords have as their objective to ruin your life permanently or ruin your life completely for the rest of it, I feel that I am in a better position, say, to talk than another person might be. Because even if my life is destroyed for the rest of it, there's not that much left. Whereas if I were a younger person, I would be skeptical about doing this or that. I would be skeptical about putting myself into harm's way. As I say, I've always voiced my mind, and no harm ever came, and knock on wood, well, it will continue on that way. But as a writer, one is always cognizant that words do sometimes have repercussions that may well be unintended. So I think it's my book, Bestial Ballads, has that poem about Victor Jara. I read that on the channel one time. A Chilean singer-songwriter who met he met an untimely end, and in a particularly heinous manner, not that it was unusual for the time and place, but stemming from his art, from his songs. And you know, I mentioned Terence. Well, Terence disappeared. We don't really know why. Could it have been because of something that he wrote? One never knows. And most germane to our situation is, or to my situation, is Aristophanes, who similarly, the authorities tried to prove that he was not a citizen. That is one of the tools which our would-be overlords are really trying to press pretty strongly in our milieu. And so when one writes, one is aware of these things. There are consequences, and these folks that want to be our overlords are ruthless. And there is little that they will stop at in attempting to achieve their objectives. So it is well to keep that in mind. So just a quick shout out to say, I don't know if you were planning to go to the protests tomorrow. If you do, I would investigate before you go and just find out who in the community is really behind it. So I will leave that there. Thank you for stopping by my channel.